Isn't that pretty? Well, I would like to talk to you today about one of the keys to a happier life. I don't think any life, no matter how much you know or how much you've been given, can be truly happy the entire time. And I think it wouldn't even be a good possibility. But I do think if you mind your ebbs and flows and stay aware of them, you can actually be a lot happier in life than if you're just kind of letting the tides turn and you're getting pulled away and thrown onto shore. What do I mean by all that analogy stuff? Well, every life has ebbs and flows. Sometimes you're more constricted, whether it be time or your health or other people who you care about, things going on in their life. And other times it flows, it's more expansive. You can do more, it's easier. And you may say, my life's never been easy. That may be. That may be totally full of baloney. Or it may be that you believe that because life was really hard, that then when it started to get easier, you didn't kind of relax into the, oh my gosh, it's easier. You didn't notice it because you were so in that belief system that it really has to be hard. So you found other people's hard stuff, or maybe you pushed away some things that would have been easier because they didn't seem real. I'm not victim blaming, I promise you, because I've done this too. But instead of taking that step back and being able to breathe and enjoy life, if you don't recognize when the flows are happening, you're going to miss them. And then the ebb's going to happen again. You know what happens there? Okay, from personal experience. I had an ebb for a long time, and then I had a flow. Really successful business, doing great and all that. And the people around me then all benefited extremely well from my flow. And I thought it was just being kind. Of course, everyone would always do that. Then I had another ebb. Not everybody stuck around. Not everybody was as, compassionate, generous, whatever you want to call it, naive as me. And that's a bad time to learn it, but sometimes that's the only time you can learn. When the flow comes back, the positive side is those people are gone. And if they try to come back and knocking, they call that fair weather friends. They only come around when the weather's good. And you have to know that time is limited and you can't just give it all away to anybody who you know is going to be there to get as much out of you as possible, but doesn't want to give anything in return. It's not even, for them, it's not even a good lesson for them. It says, oh yeah, take advantage of me, use me. Anyway, on the ebbs for time or health, that's where you really realize the value of your time, where you've been spending it. I won't say foolishly because that sounds judgmental, but where it may have been wiser to spend it in different ways. Now, hopefully, you have the ebbs first. So like I said, with mine, I had the ebbs first. And then when the flow came, I thought, oh, right, I made it. This is it. No, I didn't realize there's more cycles to this, and some of them may be a year or two. Some of them may be 10 years. Some of them may be 20 years. So I do think it's actually better to have the ebbs first, as long as you recognize that they're going to come back in one form or another. So it may be that you didn't realize that your health was going to disappear in your late 30s rather than when you're 90. But there it goes. So if you didn't, specifically with monetary and investing, if you didn't invest while it was flowing, coming easy, investing in people by being overly generous, but investing in actual things like a house, if possible. If it goes that high, or any kind of investments. I won't go too far that because that's like talking specifically about money, but it's also talking about then you're providing for yourself rather than putting yourself in a place where you will be dependent or suffer. Because what that is really is immature. I was very immature about that. I will 100% admit it. And I suffered and I was dependent. And it was terrible and it was terrible. I won't do that again. And sometimes those lessons can only be learned, with karma. You've seen any of my videos before. I talk about karma. And some things what you believe is the best method, being the most honest, trusting, you believe that's being the best person. And it is, but it is with intention. If you are trusting, but also trusting yourself and recognizing when someone is being deceptive, when it always comes out. But recognizing that instead of trying to change it and make every person better, some people don't want to be better, you know? Some people think that by being deceptive, they're winning. And the only thing you do by giving them more than two chances is basically eliminate some of the things that were obvious and make them into essentially a better liar, because now they know what to hide even more to keep doing what they were doing. So, what else did I want to say? I had a bunch of thoughts. So anyway, you have to be able to, trust yourself as much as you trust other people, because you are people too. And if you're not looking out for you, and I'm not saying look out only for yourself, that's a big distinction. You have to look out for yourself as well as other people that you care about. If you're only looking out for yourself, it's going to be a very lonely existence. And then you'll regret when those people leave, because there's only a certain window with good people who actually care about themselves that they're going to stick around and put up with stuff like that. So, it's not a perfect science, but definitely recognize, like, what in your life, what do you have right now in your life? When I had that real successful business going, all I did, I wasn't expecting it to be like that. So all I did, I'd wake up, work all day long, and go to sleep, exhausted. My bank account looked great, but I was exhausted. And I was working like so much, and I didn't have any sort of support system that could do, the basic stuff. Like, it was with products. And so all the packing and shipping and printing and going to the post office, like, I was doing all the stuff. Let me see. Recognize what you have. So at that point, I had money but no time. What I should have done was learn about, financial stability and long-term investment. And I should have invested some things instead of just, giving it away to whoever asked. But I learned it's not going to happen again. And sometimes a stumble prevents a fall, but stumbles can hurt too, So look at what you have in your life right now. If you have a lot of time, are you making the best use of that time? If you have, like a few years ago, I was basically bedridden for like a year, and I wouldn't have been able to just get up and walk. So I use that as my motivation now when I'm feeling a little bit lazy, because at that time, 7 years ago today, right now, 7 years ago, at that time, I was like, oh, I'd give anything to just be able to get up and go for a walk. So now my own voice rings in my head. It's different if someone says it to you versus if you motivate yourself that way. Because if someone says, oh, you should be grateful you can even walk. A lot of people can't walk. You're like, what? Jerk. I just want to rest. But if you say it to yourself, it's a different kind of motivation. So I did say to myself, I was like, well, should I go for a walk tonight? I should. And I did remember that when I was like, oh, I'd give anything to go for a walk. That wish is true right now. How dare I be so unappreciative of my ability to just go for a walk. Just open the door and go for a walk. I have time, I have the ability, here I am. So living, you see how it's like, it's the exact same thing. But it's the way you look at it, the way you frame it, not just the past, but the present too, for the future. Because when you recognize what is actually in flow, if you have a lot of time, if you have a lot of wisdom, a lot of people, they will learn things that were really tough lessons. They took 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years. They'll learn a really tough lesson. And instead of applying that wisdom to make the best out of their life from now on, they will continue to look back and regret and wish they made different choices. This is going to waste more time. I wrote a post a long time ago. If you spend all your time regretting 10 years ago, then 10 years from now, you're going to spend all your time regretting 20 years ago. Life's short, man. You got to make the most of it. I don't know why I called you man. People. Life's short, people. And I think I'm going to head home. Wasn't super structured, but I've had kind of a long day. That's why I was being a little bit more lazy. I'm going to do one more around the block. But I kind of had a long day, and so I was a little tired and focused on a lot of other things. I can give you an example of how I made the most of what I had and how God stepped in and, you know, connected some dots I couldn't have even planned. So my dogs, 2.5 years ago, my dogs both passed away within 3 weeks of each other. I was devastated, heartbroken. Wouldn't have even been able to talk about it. This is actually the first time I'm talking about it. They were my world. And the last 6 months, the one seemed totally normal, healthy, fine. But the other one, it was a lot of work. And he couldn't be alone for half an hour. I didn't leave him alone at all. Unfortunately, I was working from home, so I was able to be there for him. But then when they passed, I was kind of lost. And without going into too much detail, finding yourself again after being kind of cocooned. I don't know if you've seen the butterfly videos that I posted. The butterfly doesn't come out of the cocoon and just fly away. It still takes a while, like to hang there. While the wings, expand, their wings, they can't fly yet. So if you're in a place where you're grieving, it's fine to say, oh, well, now you're single, or, some kind of horrible things that someone could say trying to be positive, like a toxic positivity thing. But sometimes you got to just hang out for a while, and you got to just do those little things. So I was looking for things in my life after they passed to get busy on, to try to enjoy things that I couldn't do for the 6 months and really a couple of years prior. It was just the last 6 months that were really constricted. So I was doing that, and then I had decided I don't want to get another dog for a few years because I've had dogs for so long, all my life really, and wasn't able to travel. I always had that responsibility. Then I missed having dogs. Well, you can't just go to the parks and pet people's dogs. It's a weird thing to do. So I signed up on Rover, the pet sitting, dog walking app, and I started walking dogs and doing drop-in visits and, meeting new dog friends. I started that 2 years ago. And then last year, there was some stuff going on. Kind of wanted to do the traveling thing, but I didn't really know where I wanted to go. I didn't really have let's go travel somewhere, with whoever. So, and I have my cat at home. I don't want to leave him for that long. So on Rover, they have a thing called house sitting, where basically you live at someone's house and take care of their dogs while they're gone. So first I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, staying at someone's house, isn't it? In the absence of judgment, guess what happens? Good things. I got a message to do some drop-in visits with the dog, and I went for meeting the dog. She was adorable. She looked so much like one of my dogs that had passed that I was like stunned for a minute, more than a minute. But then I said to them, well, are you going to be away then for the weekend? Because, would you rather I do house sitting? And the lady said, oh, you do house sitting? Sure, I'd love that. I was like, yeah, sure. So I turned on the house sitting. I've had the most wonderful experiences. And it is like a little vacation just for, a couple of days. Imagine like a vacation. People are so nice. So you're staying in a guest room usually, and there's a dog there, and you're getting paid. And they'll say, oh, what kind of foods do you like? I'll make sure I'll go get them and put them in the fridge. And I can still work from home. So I don't know if you notice sometimes when you do videos, I tell people, I say I work from home. So would it be okay if I do videos from here? It's yes across the board. And I don't show any of their house or anything. It's usually against just a different color wall. But if you've noticed a lot of different backgrounds in my book reading videos, my other videos, that's why. Because I'm working. But it's been just so wonderful. And it's not anything I so geniusly planned or thought of, but because I was open, because I was making the most of what was flowing in my life, which was that opportunity, it was great. And now, it's kind of, the tides are turning again, and I'm looking around my house and thinking, I want to fix some things up. And my cat missed me. I was house sitting like 30 days a month, pretty much. And so I'm tapering back on that. I'm still going to do it because it's fun, and I love the dogs. And I have so many dog friends now. that I get to visit and I get to walk, and some of them I won't see for like a year, and I'll see them again. It's fantastic. I couldn't have planned it. So being open and instead of shutting down an opportunity like I almost did, being open to it, think, maybe that would be good and give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen? You can find out that you actually don't like something and then you don't do it again. But I think that's about all. Oh, and then, when we are older and wiser, we also know things can go really wrong when you don't think them through. And if that happens in a big way, a couple too many times, you can actually rather just be with the devil you know than the devil you don't. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a devil you don't. The thing that you don't know yet could be great. And then why are you staying with the devil you know? You know what I mean? So when we are younger, we are fearless. We just don't have fears. We go do a bunch of stuff. And then we have a bunch of things that are very fearful or terrible or dangerous. We make it through them. It takes a lot more courage to do little things when you're older than it did to do big things when you're younger, because you know things can happen. And I used to wonder, it seemed like, my mother, when I was teenager-ish, she didn't want to drive on the highway anymore. And I was driving on the highway, whoop, 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 all the time. Greatest thing. So fun to get to places so fast. Why do you go this slow route? Well, she'd seen a lot more accidents than I had. And now I don't want to drive on the highway anymore. People drive crazy on there. So, things change. And you see different perspectives as you get older. But you got to kind of take into account, just because you won't do the reckless thing, it doesn't mean that you can't do anything new or anything that's, slightly out of your comfort zone or where you think it'll be a good thing, but you're not 100% sure. Like, nobody's 100% sure about anything, really. Things can change overnight, good or bad. So what we do today, making the most of each day, is really the best we can ever do. Thank you so much. Bye.